Welcome back, everyone, to Stay in Your Lane with Triple T Transport. Today we have another guest with us. It's not very often we get some support for our industry from some of our vendors. Got a special vendor today. His name is Zach Elrod, and he is with Allianz Trade. We do some business and have in the past. And he's a senior sales vice president at Allianz. And try and just share what you do first for our viewers.
Certainly. So Allianz Trade, formerly Euler Hermes North America, we are the world's largest provider of trade credit insurance. Essentially what that means is we protect and insure accounts receivable from protracted default and insolvency, so slow pay, no pay bankruptcy, ultimately allowing our customers to make sound and efficient credit decisions and grow and maximize sales without the threat of any bad debt loss or impact to their bottom line.
Very good. So with that said, I think most people understand some of what you're talking about, but how does that actually work for you from you to a vendor, let's say, like someone in our transportation role?
Yep, no problem. So what we do is we help take the guessing work out of managing credit. Anytime there's a brand new opportunity to sell with a client, either take on a active prospect or grow with an existing client, you simply run them through our database. We'll underwrite to the credit limit that you need, and then we provide that insurance on the back end.
So no matter what, then we're on base.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good. So with the market transitioning that we've seen so far this year, the number of bankruptcies that you can speak to here in the past few weeks, and where we're headed from an inflation perspective, a fuel cost perspective, what does this reminisce of 2019, 2020 to you?
Yeah, so heading into 2020, obviously the market was very red hot. Bankruptcies were down, bad debt losses were down, and then the pandemic happened. Several signs and indicators pointed to a downturn prior to the March shutdown. And what I believe is that when the shutdown happened, it really exposed a lot of those businesses that were kind of hanging on. At that point, our company personally, we saw a large increase in claims. Then there was a lot of forgiveness in the market, a lot of PPP, the government protection plan, that really kind of stalled out some of the bankruptcies. And now that the economy's back on track, we are now starting to notice a lot of those impacts, the residual impacts of that coming prevalent in the market.
So many companies maybe survived due to government intervention are now becoming more exposed.
Correct. And along with that, we're also seeing a rise in overall production costs between inflation, fuel prices, supply chain issues, and then now that the Fed is raising interest rates, the cost of capital is also getting higher. So it's now more so than previous years, is now more expensive to provide the service or the product, which is also crippling cash flow and hurting margins.
It's going to cost more to do business.
Precisely.
The inflation's going to be, well, it's at a 40-year high. So, so when we look at that, and you're in your line of work and what you guys specialize in, what does that equate to for the next 6-12 months from a claims, bankruptcies, liabilities perspective?
So first and foremost, with the inflation, the cost of production going up, a lot of that leads to a higher credit exposure because ultimately the goal is you want to pass that cost along to your customer. So certain industries that saw a 20-30% increase essentially overnight, that customer might have gone from a $30,000 credit limit to a $50,000-$60,000 credit limit. So at that, a lot of my clients are experiencing higher AR or credit exposures. And then as this prolongs and goes on, that's becoming more vulnerable and more susceptible to a slow pay claim or a bankruptcy scenario.
All right. And from a bankruptcy scenario, have we seen, from a percentage perspective, are we seeing a large uptick?
So a lot of it right now is anecdotal. We don't have the final numbers. That's something that I track and review the cases daily. Depending on the week, we're starting to see a lot higher in frequency. but then we're also starting to notice a lot larger in dollar amounts or unsecured debt that they owe their suppliers.
So basically the risk is going up
Correct.
and the volatility is going up.
Correct.
So that's two markers in the wrong direction.
Correct.
So from your perspective and for our viewers, it's going to get a lot more expensive to do business. Wages have not increased at the same rate as inflation or the percentage increase to do business. We could and should probably see bankruptcies increase at a faster rate now that maybe would have happened in the past 2 years pre-pandemic.
Correct. That's a fair assessment and a lot of what we're experiencing. Now, a lot of the claims that we field, they are due to protracted default or slow pay. So the company is actually solvent. They just can't service their debt, pay all their suppliers in a timely manner. And what we're noticing there is that they can't commit to a payment plan. They submit the claim with Allianz. We pay that out sooner. Then eventually a lot of those companies do move on to a bankruptcy situation. So we'll actually pay out the claim sooner rather than having to wait until the account goes to bankruptcy, then go through the courts and decide what's earned at that point.
Wow. It's definitely a different perspective. Now, how long have you been working for Allianz?
So I've been with Allianz for 6 years now.
Okay.
I would like to mention that it's not all doom and gloom. There's still a lot of opportunity out there for growth, especially with companies that are very aggressive. And that's where I position our product as more of a sales tool, because as your credit exposure goes higher, as some of these other customers and service providers maybe drop the ball or aren't able to fulfill, that's an opportunity to take on new customers. So we can also give you the guidance, allow you to get aggressive and maximize those sales opportunities rather than just being protective, being very conservative. We can help you take on those new credit risks.
Oh, that makes sense. Whenever you have companies go in default into bankruptcy or close, then someone's going to gain that market share that they were in.
Correct.
So you definitely, that allows the people in our role and in other roles to be aggressive about going after it on the back end.
100%.
Very good. Now, I've known you for probably 4 to 5 years, myself personally, and we've always had a great relationship and good communication. What would you say to prospective companies that maybe would like to reach out to you directly? What would you say to them, to qualify, to see if maybe you're the right person for them?
Sure. So any customers or potential clients that I work with, it all starts with the initial assessment. So I really like to focus on who are you selling to, what areas, and then I like to dial into what the opportunities of growth are and what your opportunities or risk are. From there, we can essentially sculpt a program around that, give you initial assessment, let you know who's insurable, who we have concerns with, and then from there we can talk about a program that's best fit to meet your needs.
So you kind of tailor it for everybody.
Correct.
On an individual basis.
And essentially it is at the end of the day, it is a free assessment on who you're selling to by the world's largest credit department, if you want to look at it that way. So we can come in, analyze your portfolio, note any clients that maybe you should steer away from. Maybe we can bring some initial information to light that you're unfamiliar with, but it's an unbiased look at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely a value. I think there'll be more people looking for your services over the next 12 months and 18 months from what we're seeing from an economic outlook. Other than that, I think, for you, you're a lot like me and like Triple T. We're partnering. So our relationship that we've had for years is consistent, and we do relationship-based, service-based business.
Yep.
And I think that's the value.
Yep.
That we both bring to the table. So I want to thank you for participating, being on the podcast. Again, for all of our viewers, you definitely want to look up Zach. He's been doing this a long time with us. We are very thankful for the services you provide, and looking forward to having you on in the future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.